Benissimo, allora intanto grazie di essere qui con noi oggi. Io parlerò tendenzialmente in inglese perché la maggior parte delle persone che ci accompagnano oggi vengono dall'estero. La nostra Paola, che è qui con noi oggi, tradurrà quello che noi ci scambieremo come informazioni. So I just wanted to welcome the Italian participants and attendees. Italian is my language, and I wanted to say hello to my people today. But since most of you are foreign people, I will mainly speak in English, and Paola will kindly translate for me and for my speakers speaking in Italian. Welcome everybody to this Real Estate International Conference. We thank all the attendees and all those people who asked us for the recording with enthusiasm due to their timing issues. We have 20 people asking for recording. Recording will be available promptly at the end of today's work. I especially thank all the panelists that, again, have rescheduled their professional life in order to be able to speak in the busy life we are living. I particularly and personally thank Paola De Vescovi, our interpreter, because she could not speak, well, we could not speak both English and Italian without her today. We have just experienced a period of lockdown. Then we had the summer, and now new critical situations are occurring again in many countries. The idea to make an analysis of this sector came in June, but the best moment seemed this one, because the reopening soon after lockdown could have provided data that were too enthusiastic, and for this reason, lasting for short time. Today, after 3 months from reopening, and above all in consideration of a situation that seems glued to us, the life projects, as well as the investments of the markets, have adjusted accordingly, and for a certain time, at least until spring, they will remain as they are. In these 2 hours, we will make the same reflections with the professionals of different countries. We will try to understand if and how to invest, and we will start a strong cooperation that will continue in the next month. If we have the first person online, we have Andrea Franchetto. We know him as the president of the Real Estate Team Italy, and I am very pleased to leave the floor to him after 30 years of being in the real estate market in Italy. Prego, Andrea.
Buongiorno a tutti. Oggi vi ringrazio sia i relatori che gli uditori per la partecipazione. Siamo molto contenti di avervi con noi e desidero ringraziare soprattutto i relatori che so che hanno preparato del lavoro e ci daranno ognuno per la propria competenza uno specchio del proprio mercato, della propria esperienza in questo periodo. Ognuno di noi nella sua attività professionale sta vivendo sicuramente dei rivolgimenti profondi che riguardano, prima ancora che il mercato immobiliare, il tessuto sociale ed altri ambiti, quindi è molto articolato ciò che andiamo ad affrontare in questo momento. La finalità, scusate, un problema, scusate. Dicevamo, quindi la finalità oggi è di confrontare le rispettive esperienze e confidiamo al termine di poter avere uno specchio reale del mercato nelle varie nazioni, nei vari ambiti. Allora, lascerei la parola ai singoli relatori nazionali e sarà molto interessante sentire l'esperienza di ognuno, ma vorrei arrivare al termine di questo percorso e poter avere una somma, un confronto di tutte queste esperienze per fare delle conclusioni che siano utili ad ognuno di noi nel prosieguo del lavoro nei prossimi mesi.
Ok, scusate, ma abbiamo qualche panelist che ha difficoltà a entrare nel webinar. Per evitare i ritorni di voce dovete spegnere i microfoni secondari, se no è per questo che vi capitano queste situazioni. So if you want to avoid problems of audio, you have to switch off additional microphone in case you have it. We have a problem with the second speaker, and at least Giorgio will speak before Fabrizio. I will try to help him to enter the conference while you are speaking. So I will try to overlap a little bit the program. I leave the floor to Giorgio Fontana, who is founding member of Real Estate Team Italy, and he will explain to us the wealthy properties after COVID, and we will take the others after. So Giorgio, please, the floor is yours. And I'm sorry to change your scheduling.
So thank you very much. Good afternoon to everybody. I would like to share the screen, if possible.
It's not possible because we have already tried to do it. So I will show your slides if it is okay with you.
Do you have the one in English, I think?
Yes, yes, I have.
Hi to everyone, I'm here now.
Ah, I'm very happy.
Welcome.
I'm very happy. I was very worried. Anyway, since you came late and I started with Giorgio, you will continue and you will speak later if it's not a problem for you. So this is the presentation Giorgio sent us. Is it okay?
The second, from the second
for
slide.
you?
From the second slide.
Okay, very good. And I will try to put it as a presentation. Wonderful. The floor.
Okay, so thank you very much, Manuela. Again, good afternoon to everybody. I am a real estate consultant in Como area, in north of Italy. We can go on. My job is to purchase and sell valuable properties with exclusive assignment. These are some other property. You can go on, please. This is where my customers are in Italy, so are in the north part of Italy, in this kind of region, Piemonte, Lombardia, and so on. So wealthy property after COVID. This is what I had to speak about. And the first question is, COVID it is over or it is not finished yet? it is premature to say that it is finished. So what happened with this lockdown? Lockdown forced us to change habits, to live indoors, to work remotely. Smart working, remote working, agile working. So we aim to larger space, more rooms in the flat, in our home, outdoor space, gardens, terrace, and living big city. Wellness real estate, the new trend of new luxury home that see well-being satisfaction through real estate sector. This is the new trend. So the demand for a country house and luxury property has increased. I tell you this about the media that I had to read and to prepare this these slides. And as you saw, there is you can see down is Idealista August 2020. And for every slide, I would like I wrote where is which was the people that wrote this. There has been a collapse in the request of renting properties. Sorry. So among the buyers, there are many international ones who still want to reinvest in Italy for a second home. A record of requests for luxury homes in large cities, Roma, Milan, Florence, holiday resort, Courmayeur, Bardolino, Castiglione Pescara, that is in Tuscany. Yes, you can go on. Who are the buyers? The buyers say global luxury market inside, as you see, are millennials and new families with technical skill and economic means. European investor who has great economic opportunities, who love the Italian landscape and the culture, as well as tradition, custom, for the experience, not for the expertise in real estate, for the quality of infrastructure and available service. Qui però è successo qualcosa.
Che succede?
Non so. Voi vedete, vabbè, si vede?
Sì, sì.
What are buyers looking for? Multifunctional environments, space for smart working, home automatization, intelligent security system, charging stations for electronic car, design. This is what the customer are looking for. Always this was wrote from the agency you wrote down before. The opinion of my colleague and mine. So after I wanted to reproduce you and to show you what the media said about this period after lockdown. But in Italy, this is the opinion of mine and of my colleague, the millennial has few resources because the work is scarce and precarious. Then the randomness found will end and soon, and there will be many unemployed. So this is the situation. It's not true for us that millennials has a lot of money to buy new property as we saw before. This is the opinion, our opinion. Locally, and I mean on Como Lake, European demand for luxury villas on Lake was good, with price slightly increasing. confirmed. This is confirmed. For us, this is a good, right opinion. But the demand for building with gardens in the area of North Milan, there were no requests after the lockdown, despite expectations. So, I mean that really we had a demand for villas and wealthy home on the lake, but it is not true that people are interested in the area of North Milan where there is gardens, villa, and so on. So this is there is a mistake here because I am part of a networking that is immobiliari.com, but there was also Reti. So Abitare Investire is the network for valuable properties. This is all. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Giorgio, for explaining us this particular sector of the real estate market in Italy. Going back to something particular, if Fabrizio is ready, I will give the floor to Fabrizio. And I have to share your slides also, if it is okay for you.
Okay, thank you. For me, it's better because my connection, my internet is not very fast, and so if you help me with the slide, I'm very happy.
I'm quite selfish in this case. It's because we tried once and we almost did a kind of disaster. So I will be obliged to do it for everybody of you in order to be able to complete the conference.
Okay.
Okay. Can you see the screen?
Okay. I speak in English, and first of all,
you can speak in Italian if you want. It's up to you.
Okay, I try to speak in English. If I will have some difficulty, I ask to our translator to help me in a particular moment of my speech. My name is Fabrizio Dragoni. My company is Reinventa. In English, is Reinventing. Is a sort of company. Real estate development consultant. Our core business are the brownfield and greenfield areas, and so in particular today I want to speak about this COVID moment. But next slide, please. In the situation in Northwest Italy for the market, and la prossima, Manu. And for the metropolitan city of Milan and Novara areas. And for sure, the market is uncertainly due to the pandemic, obviously, and I don't like to do any forecast for the future, because we have to live in this time, and we have to live now. So I prefer to concentrate with the today and not for the tomorrow. And it's difficult because the real estate development is a sector that ever watch for the future. But now I prefer to take a photo of the situation. The next. So what's happening now in residential, in commercial, and industrial and logistics sector? Are three different dynamics, and I want to show you what's happening now. I don't know what will happen next year, but for sure now is happening that I'm telling for Milan metropolitan city and for Novara areas, generally in northwest of Italy. And so, first of all, residential. Next slide. We have, no, before residential, we have a schizophrenic pattern. Private user buy a new house continuously. That kind of market has been stopped during the lockdown, but after that has been restarted. And but the developer, the residential developer, are waiting to buy new asset to do new buildings, because they are a little bit worried about the future of the market. And so we have a very strange situation, a very strana, come si dice?
Layer.
Okay, situation, because the private user want to buy, but the developer don't want to do any new buildings. They are finishing what they have begun before the lockdown, and also the areas they bought before lockdown. For the new opportunities, they are waiting. In the commercial sector, we have a good dynamics for the medium supermarket, not a good dynamics for the large supermarket, a very bad dynamics for the retail streets. The retail streets are in crisis. You can watch with your eyes in every city in the world, I think. But in the city of Milan is particularly real at these things. And the large supermarket also are a little bit in crisis, but the medium supermarket are very active. They are searching for new opportunities, and they are ready to invest now in the market in my areas. And last sector is logistic and industrial. So we have one dynamics of this kind. Logistic developer are ready to invest, are very happy to invest. Not ever we are ready with the town plan of the city, because logistics are typically far from the principal city, are into a little municipality in 40, 50 kilometers from the city of Milan or the city of Novara. And not ever the municipalities has the town plan that accept the logistic, because logistics mean traffic and logistic mean travel. So we have the developer that are ready to invest, and the public administration are not ready at the same level. And we have got a little issues in this situation. Also, if in the case when you have to reinvent an old industrial and non-industrial, also in this case the municipality prefer industrial to logistic. I don't believe in this, but that is happening now. And stop. I want to say only these few things. we are ready to help everything who needs a support in real estate development in residential, commercial, and logistics sector in northwest of Italy. Thank you to you all.
Thank you very much, Fabrizio. I was just underlining the fact that Fabrizio is also our vice president, and as vice president of real estate in Italy, has always been very supportive with our team and the way we work all together. So thank you for your effort. And I wanted to leave the floor to Luca Portinaro, but I don't know if he was able to join. Maybe not yet. So we pass on to Francisco Gonzalez, and as soon as he is able to join us, because it is for IT problems, he will certainly speak and complete the table we have tried to picture for Italy. Francisco, the floor is yours, and I share your slides.
Thank you, Manuela. Hello, everyone. Thank you for your presence. And many thanks, Manuela, for inviting me to share our vision in the market. My name is Francisco Gonzalez. I'm a real estate professional located in Spain. I work in this field from 15 years ago, more or less, I don't remember exactly. And I'm sorry, but I cannot find a solution for coronavirus. I'm sorry. But I can explain you what about our market when we are fighting with this crisis. Please change, Manuela. Do you have?
Can you see the screen?
No, you don't open the file.
It is open. Let me see. Okay. What about now?
No. Now.
Is it okay?
It's okay. And
the second page.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. In a normal environment, as I'm telling, when a crisis arrives to any place, this is reflected in real estate market. From year 2014, we are inside a recovery, but when the crisis arrives, normal market trends fall in sales, in prices, bank makes less mortgage signatures, etc. In bank cases, they must to be competitive. Is a detail we use for help to take a mortgage for our clients. This obviously happens with some differences depending the area, because as you know, there are areas enjoy a better position and the crisis knock low. For example, coast areas or rich areas in big cities. But always we can find new tendencies. That is the detail we must to use for reinvent and restart our market. And this is the details we are using for our development in Spain across next protocols. Please change, Manuela. Yes. All of us can see that clients demand tools to help them in the process to connect with our activity. In that case, it's totally necessary a great impulse in digitalization. Many companies are not prepared for that. And when we are prepared, we must continue innovating in this process. Please, Manuela, change. Okay, obviously online visits are growing. It's normal. According, I say in last point, and continue with our development, we must to introduce tools in our companies for help to our clients in their visits. For example, using a Matterport machine, as you know, and other tool maybe. In our case, we are doing many visits across video conference, but our best difference is to put easy all process to our clients. Next one. In this point, I must say it's totally necessary to have social networks in our companies. Normally in Spain, we use this tool for publicity to now, but I affirm that we can close some operations thanks to these tools. Don't forget this question. Normally, the users are young people and they will be the buyers in the future. So I recommend use all social networks in your companies. Next one, please. Yes, that point is typical. Our teams must be always prepared in technology, of course, and technology advances. So we must to provide them good training systems to get it. We must continuous training and recycling all the time. Next, please. Okay. As our college say before, is normal, and we can provide comprove it that situation has changed preferences in the people. Everybody changed their preferences in the market now in this moment. Confinement time helps everyone what is necessary for their own lives. This is the reason for many people to change the typology of property decided. Before they look for properties in the center of cities, and now they are looking for properties around the cities. We can see too many cases who want to return from big cities to the town. It's really interesting. Next one, please. About the rent market, there are changes too, of course. Now, all of us have restrictions for moving, for tourism. This case is reflected in rent tendencies. Now, for our clients, it's better to rent in long term than vacational, but always there are exceptions, of course. For example, in the beach, maybe this tendency continue for 8 months, 1 year, more or less. Okay, so we recommend to our clients rent in long term. All last points, next one, please. Thanks. All last points and changes give us many ideas and arrive us to this point. This is the best moment for invest. Yes, now. And this is the question for keep our market alive. Everybody knows that the crisis, there are more opportunities in real estate and investment market. Here in the screen, we put our personal example. We close different deals, 17 properties in Mediterranean area. From 7 May, if I remember, was the first sign after confinement. 17 properties from there, like villas, flats, houses. 5 operation closes too in little towns according to the new tendencies, okay, and 2 hotels. I must to say that this is an interesting moment for this invest typology for hotels. That is the reason investors must be prepared for give steps when an opportunity arrives. So in summary, we help clients for make visits, not at the moment, but wait. We help clients for make visits according to the new protocols of social distance and security across tools and safety protocols. We are doing our digital presence across social networks, a great tool to arrive to all clients and communicate them our experiences. We are investing in training for our teams. In next future, we can see it's a good idea. Clients is changing their concept of property decided. They want to buy properties with big terraces, gardens, or with a plot where they feel freedom, as our colleagues say before. And we are focused in this typology of properties. Our company is totally focused in this typology and doing projects for build properties like this. We are talking with our property owners and explaining them that if they are renting a property for holidays, it's better now to change for a long-term rent for now to the next year to obtain a decent rentability. And we are helping to our investors and open to new for provide them for the best opportunities are appearing in the market in Spain. Of course, we have the best opportunities in the market. Is the reason we are sure that all of us have the best option for our clients and investors. Next one, Manuela. And that's all ideas we can share with all of you according new tendencies for our clients and investors. I hope you use this detail for your own development. And we are open it, of course, to help you in all you need in Spain. Many thanks for attending me. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Francisco. It was a great presentation. As usual, I knew it was extremely interesting to hear from you. And I'm sure that new success will come quite soon. Thank you for coming and for speaking to us. During all the different interventions, if ever there is anyone who wants to ask questions, you should be able to do it through the Q&A or simply just putting the questions into the chat you find the site. And as soon as we see that there is space of time, we will be able to reply to all the questions that you are indicated. After the intervention of Spain, we should have had the intervention of the UK. Matt Hume sent us his intervention because of a very serious problem, familiar problem that came suddenly. We have two situations like this. Matt is connected with his family, so we are absolutely near him. And the second one is our notary from France. Mr. Avila was positive to COVID 24 hours ago, so he sent us his presentation, and I will be more than glad to read this because he absolutely wanted to be with us, but he was not able to do it. So he sent us his presentation, and I will be more than happy to read it. Now I will try to share with you the presentation of Matt Hume. And Matt is an expert in property management in the UK, covering the entire country. So I will try to read a little bit the conditions that are taken from the EMEA real estate, in particular the latest market look of 2020. So he says, I'm reading slowly to allow our dear Paola to translate. So sorry if I feel a little bit too tired, but it's just to help her. The pandemic continued to weigh on European commercial real estate yields in Q2 2020. The retail and hotel sectors have been the most affected, with yields for prime shopping centers and hotel leased softening across several locations since the Q4 of 2019. In certain categories, such as secondary retail in the UK, the variation has been much more pronounced. In the office sector, prime yields, which were compressing in the quarters leading up to the onset of the pandemic, have slightly altered course, either by remaining stable or marginally softening. Multifamily and logistic yields have been stable and are well positioned to recover. CBRE experts investors' appetite for commercial real estate to strengthen in the coming quarters as investors are lured by the spread on the risk-free rate and long-term interest rate, which are low. Yields for most sectors, aside from retail, specifically shopping centers and high streets, will harden. This could happen for logistics, core offices, and multifamily. Hospitality will likely take longer to recover due to the profound impact of the pandemic on business travel and tourism. Offices. Some signs of resilience, but demand and rents will see short-term downward pressure. Short-term volatility offers opportunities for astute timing of capital deployment and lease audits. With the outlook for fluid working set to increase and heightened pandemic and economic uncertainty to continue, occupiers of all sizes will increasingly look to create more agility within their portfolios, alongside high-quality, long-term core space. Agility will be provided to employees in a number of ways, depending on the organization. It will cover, among others, increased tech investment to enable home and remote working, increased availability of satellite, suburban, local, peripheral serviced office space, the provision of flexible office space in Europe's cities has been growing at an average of 30% per annum since 2014, but has not produced uniform levels across the continent. The main contributor to that growth had been third-party operators leasing space from landlords, which we expect to slow down or even contract in 2020 in some markets. The question can be whether Europe has enough flex space to fulfill potential demand. We expect landlords to make up for this under-provision through providing more tenant-ready, managed and flexible office space, not just to meet occupier demand, but to alleviate vacancy and monetize space as overall demand begins to weaken in an uncertain environment. Despite being much better positioned than most other sectors, logistics has not been immune to the impact of the pandemic. The main sources of demand have been affected, with both positive and negative lasting consequences for logistic prosperity. E-commerce sales, the main demand driver over the last few years, have been a spike in activity due to lockdowns and will emerge from the crisis at a significantly higher level, leading to a further uptick in logistics requirements for this sector. While global trade has already threatened by protectionist disputes and Brexit heading into 2020, the pandemic has worsened conditions, as evidenced by the increase in idle capacity reported by ocean freight companies. Although the manufacturing sector has been hit hard, the reopening of production plants has increased the focus on how to improve supply chain resilience to avoid future shortages. This trend could potentially benefit logistics property via increased demand for space to increase safety inventories and reshore suppliers in Europe. Take-up in Tier 1 markets in Europe was stronger than expected in Q2 2020, considering the challenging conditions, particularly in the UK, where take-up registered an all-time high. This provided further proof of the overall resilience of logistics demand. Demand came in the form of new pre-let units, but also ready-to-occupy facilities, further tightening the already scarce supply of new warehouses. Due to the prolonged closure of non-essential retailers for as long as 1 to 3 months and social distancing measures, consumers have readjusted their shopping behaviors. Key trends include queuing and booking appointments online in-app, increased levels of online shopping, preference for local shops. The COVID-19 pandemic presents unusually severe challenges to the European hotel sector, reflected in current very low customer demand. Many hotels across the EMEA region remain closed, and those which are open are achieving very low occupancy relative to pre-pandemic levels. A decline between 58% and 78% in global cross-border tourism numbers is expected for 2020. Some investors are reticent to invest during the current economic climate, whilst those actively looking to deploy capital have been somewhat inhibited from doing so by a lack of opportunities. Transaction volume in 2020 was supported by acquisitions of core and core plus properties through larger deals and mergers. Among the most active players were equity-driven investors with insurance and pension fund backgrounds, as well as those seeking to diversify their portfolio. Investment in the European multifamily market has traditionally been driven by domestic buyers, but recent developments have indicated that cross-border activity is starting to pick up strongly. The stable rent profile of the sector has been the main reason behind the rising volume of investor inquiries. Recent months have seen rent collection rates stabilize at a level only slightly lower than before the pandemic. Due to a further increase in urbanization and a rise in apartment prices, it is expected that young households will be increasingly opting to rent instead of buying. Investment prices and prime yields have not changed significantly compared to the end of 2019, with the market situation potentially set to improve heading into the next few quarters. So this is what he tried to portray as for the UK country inserted in a situation, a EU situation, which for the moment seems very similar a little bit everywhere in Europe. If you have any question, as I said, and I repeat, just use the Q&A sector or the chat sector that is put aside. Since it is almost an hour we are talking, I just would like to understand if Paola needs 30 minutes rest, and I'm trying to recover Luca Portinaro, and I had a couple of messages of people trying to access. Okay, Paola just need a few minutes, and we are more than happy to allow this to her. And I just try to understand what happened to Luca Portinaro, and I had a message maybe from Saskia Johnston, so just try to understand a little bit.
I'm on the call, Manuela.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So what about Luca Portinaro? He was just in the call, but he managed to enter as an attendee, not as a panelist, so I have some problems to understand. There is someone from the attendance saying who has raised his hands, PG Business Management Team. I don't know if you want to ask a question. If you want to just write it, Q&A, let's see. Hi Manuela, are the slide desks available for delegates after the webinar? Of course, everybody will have all the documentation that was made available. I can tell the same in Italian. Sicuramente tutto il materiale che viene utilizzato per questo tavolo di lavoro verrà condiviso senza nessun problema. La conferenza è registrata e la registrazione sarà a disposizione. So, very good. If Andrea Franchetto is just trying to help Luca Portinaro to access in a different way, otherwise he will not be able to speak. Andrea Franchetto, se puoi aiutare Luca Portinaro a entrare nella conferenza, altrimenti lui non riuscirà a parlare. Grazie. Ok, grazie mille, grazie. Okay, can we go on? Paola, can you be available? Do you want me to help some way? Okay, wonderful. So the next person who will tell us something about her country is Mrs. Eva Pavic. I met her in a conference some time ago, and Reti was honored to explain to Croatia the Italian market. So I leave the floor to Eva. Please, Eva, I know you don't have the slides, so the floor is yours. Speak
Thank you
slowly,
very much.
please.
Oh, that is going to be a challenge. Okay, I'll try, I promise. Ciao a tutti, saluti dalla Croazia. My name is Eva. Manuela, thank you very, very much for inviting me to speak here today. I'm really happy to be here and to listen all of the presentations, and hope I will be up to the standard like this. I'm joining in from Zagreb. I don't know if you have heard, we don't have only COVID, we have lots of earthquakes and some floods as well. So I'm going to put all of this as a part of the presentation. The presentation is going to be divided, of course, in a little overview of our current office market, retail market, industrial and logistics, residential. It will all be covered with influences of COVID, and in the end, who can own properties in Croatia. If you have any questions, I will also be checking the chat in the meantime, so I'm more than happy to answer them. So speaking of office market, prior to COVID, we had vacancy of 3%. As our vacancy rate, as you know, usually 10% is more than enough of a signal to be starting a new project. Class A net effective rent in Zagreb, for example, which is the capital, is 12.5 euros per square meter. This didn't stop with COVID. Some tenants, not nearly all of them, but some tenants asked for rent reductions. Landlords, some said that's okay, but some said they didn't. So that had almost no impact for doing business in offices in Croatia. On the other hand, what happened with an earthquake, that city center of Zagreb is really suffering. Every 8th building is, you cannot live or work there anymore, which of course means a lot for businesses that are typical for city centers, like attorneys or specific marketing agencies, you know, the typical ones that are used to being in city center. And they are finally changing and coming to business centers and business buildings, which is annulling the factor of COVID. So the offices remain exactly the same. And then retail, as many of the speakers already mentioned today, we're all switching to online. This is completely normal. We are witnessing the proper digital transformation everywhere all around. Older ladies that were afraid of having a credit card 6 months ago and buying online now are purchasing extra toilet paper from Amazon. So there's no problems there whatsoever. In shopping centers, we as well had 3% vacancy rate with an average rent 19 euros per square meters. And again, this hasn't changed. High street location, 30 to 140 square meters is the usual price. And there are new projects and revitalizations of the old ones that hadn't stopped at all. Then we have the very, very specific one, and this is industrial and logistics. And this is definitely the part that needs most of the attention, considering the fact that despite all of our growth, this is the least developed sector in Croatia. So if you're ever looking to invest in Croatia or any of your clients, logistics is the way to go. We have only 3 centers. One is in Zagreb, one is in Split, Dugopolje, and one is in Rijeka, Kukuljanovo. And most of the modern are actually owner occupied. So everything that I'm talking to you about is negligible on the overall, in the overall picture. So vacancy rate here is even less than 3%. It is 2.5. And again, it didn't change because of COVID. Prime rent here is 5.5 euros for the modern buildings, for the modern facilities, and 2 to 4 for the older ones that need to be adjusted. Then we have the residential market, which is, I would say, completely crazy. And we are constantly considering why is this kept happening in Croatia, specifically in Zagreb. So for every new apartment that you have developed by present local developers, you have 4 reservations for every, which of course means that the prices are way too high. People are still buying them. Prices have never been higher, and there has never been more transactions there than now. So this is a phenomenon that we are searching for. Why is this happening? And the COVID, not the earthquake, they didn't stop it at all. So the only one very specific factor that we should chime in here is, of course, the tourism. Tourism in Croatia is extremely important. It is 1/5 or 20% of the Croatian GDP, which is, of course, a lot, and I would say extremely dangerous. So one bad season, and this in the end isn't such a bad season for us. And here I have to thank our Italian friends. So it's not such a bad season for us, and we need at least 2 that are very, very bad in order to for certain prices to drop or for this balloon to explode. But so far, it's not going to change. Let me just, it's not comparable to certain certain properties that have been shown here today, but just to give you an idea, in June this year, in Zagreb, there was a rise of, compared to the previous month, there was a rise of 4%, in Split of 2%, and in Rijeka of 9%. So prices are still going up. What is happening, I really don't know. I would lie if I told you that I do. So this is this concludes this residential part. I remember the moment when everything started. I was really, really afraid, and I'm happy that I can say it in front of you, all of the experts, because I said, what are we going to do now when all these companies realize that they have at least 30% of space that they actually don't need? But they need it. They still want it, and they don't want to part with it. Everybody here cannot wait for the moment to go back to their offices. And there are companies that decided to do it partially. There are companies that decided already to do it completely. Yes, there are many meetings that can be exchanged with an email, but most of the meetings can never be anything but person to person. And now in the end, who can buy properties in Croatia? Well, acquisition of properties in Croatia is in line in general with the EU legal system and all the directives. So property ownership is registered in the land registry, and the position and the boundaries of the properties in space are registered by cadastre. Citizens of EU, as well as Swiss Confederation, can buy real estate in the same manner like Croatian citizens and Croatian companies, except for agricultural land. This is exempt until 2023. UK citizens buy properties under the same conditions until the end of 2020. Brexit is their problem. Citizens of third countries, non-EU, can buy properties as well, but under 2 conditions. Number 1, there has to be a reciprocity, so we have to be able to buy there as well. And the other thing is that they have to obtain a specific permit from the Ministry of Judiciary. This is very simple to obtain. There have only been few cases that were really, really shady, to put it this way, to do it. If a non-resident is buying commercial properties in Croatia, they're usually acquired by establishing a Croatian company. This is the most typical way, and then buying a property for the company. So not as a physical person, but in this sense. So we could divide foreign real estate buyers in Croatia in 2 main categories. So ones are those who are looking at it as an investment, and others are those who buy second home for holidays. So investments are typically aimed at commercial properties such as offices, hotels, and retail. Then second home purchases are concentrated, of course, in the coast, Istra and Dalmatia. Typical price for purchase of apartment in the coastal area would be around 2,000 euros per square meters all over Dalmatia, a bit more and a bit higher in Istria, which is called also a little Tuscany. Transfer tax in this case is 3% of the value of the property. Land registry situation can be very challenging in Croatia. This is one of our issues. And it is not frequently updated. So this is administratively, this is a problem. It is very slow, but it can be resolved. But if you ever decide, or any of your clients, to purchase something here, we highly recommend that you hire both a lawyer and a real estate broker who is most definitely a member at Croatian Chamber of Commerce, which means that they're by all legislation healthy organization, and this is what you would definitely need. So I'm sorry to be, Manuela, I know you told me to talk slowly. Believe it or not, I really tried my best. I cannot do less than.
I fully understand that. It can be a challenge. And I will give a few seconds to Paola again. I will speak in Italian and English at the same time, so that she can rest a little bit. A little moment again. Okay, so I'm very happy to understand that it was not as depicted as we had as an image, because and this is proving that the idea of sharing all our experiences was
beneficial,
was important, because among professionals it's important to share their personal experiences. I just tell the same in Italian. Il fatto di vedere e di affrontare i dati e le informazioni in modo incrociato tra professionisti, come stiamo facendo oggi, comunque dimostra che era importante poter confrontare i dati, perché a volte le informazioni che in qualche modo ci arrivano non necessariamente sono sempre completamente, diciamo, confermate o definitive. Quindi soprattutto in settori specifici è importante poter analizzare i dati. Quello di oggi è un incontro che sarà solo un inizio. So today's meeting is only the beginning. We will try to rework all this data in order to try to create connections. So this will be very, very important for us. The next speaker, and I'm just thank you, Eva.
No problem. Thank you for the attention.
You are happy and bright as usual, and as I met you the first time, sei illuminata e felice come ti ho vista la prima volta. Grazie mille. If Paola agrees with me, she just translate the interventions, and I will do the mix between one intervention and the other. Ok, wonderful. Quindi io parlerò in entrambe le lingue tra un intervento e l'altro, così Paola riuscirà a riposare un attimo tra i due interventi. Il prossimo speaker ci parlerà dalla Polonia, Radosław Kosman, e è un architetto consulente per il mercato polacco. So the next speaker will be Radosław Kosman, an expert and consultant in the real estate in Poland, and I'm very happy to leave him the floor now. Thank you very much, Radosław. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Manuela. Hello, everyone. My name is Radosław Kosman, and indeed, I am an architect here in Warsaw, Poland. So let me just start my timer here. Not to.
It's okay. I will stop you in case. Don't worry.
I would like to divide my presentation here from two perspectives. One would be an overview of the real estate market in Poland, and another one from the design and architectural perspective, how this, if at all, has it changed and affected after the COVID and during the COVID. So in terms of the real estate market in Poland, let's start with the residential market. It's very interesting to see the prices go higher than a year before. So they are constantly growing, and this I am talking about most of the bigger cities and urban areas in Poland, and this is both first and second hand. The difference is the real estate developers have sold 3.9% less flats and houses than in 2019. So it's not big of a change. However, the prices are a bit higher. It's starting to go up slowly but constantly, and it wasn't really affected by the COVID. There is, however, a noticeable drop in from the financing perspective. It's really difficult to get a mortgage, like compared to the year before. And less people are interested in that kind of financing. It's quite stable in terms of residential market, and obviously there's been an outburst of interest in terms of single-family homes, especially in the suburbs or more remote areas, In these terms, I will mention it later during the design perspective. In terms of commercial real estate, well, I won't go into much detail regarding the retail, because it was quite on hold for several months, and now it's operational. The markets and the shopping centers are back up with sanitary conditions, and they seem to be doing fine. Forgive me for not giving you the exact numbers, but I would like to mention the office market, and especially here in Warsaw, being the capital, there are really millions of square meters on the GLA, the lease area, regarding offices. And in terms of vacancy and occupation, it's really a nightmare. It's a nightmare in terms of sanitary conditions. One of the skyscrapers made a simulation if every employee before the COVID would work physically and get back to the building right away, and each one of them would enter the building on the morning shift, so 8 a.m. The most stop here would be the elevators to meet the sanitary conditions. The first worker would enter the building at 8 a.m. and the last one on the morning shift would enter at 3:30. So it would take over 7 hours to fill up the building in terms of the employees. There are some research. I've come across the CBRE research that's forecasting as 70 to 30 proportion in terms of the employees in the office market. So 70% of them would would work physically in the offices, but that obviously means that 30% of the office area would still be unoccupied. And we are actually doing some analysis of transforming this space into residential area or a mixed-use environment to get back some rentability in this term. The last field I'd like to mention in terms of real estate is the logistics. And logistics is doing perfectly fine here in Poland. Being in the center of Europe in terms of logistics, new commercial investors are constantly looking for new plots, new land to build new warehouses and logistics centers. And actually, I know for a fact that the need for space, for the logistics space, is 1/3 of a million square meters. So 250,000 square meters are needed in the A+ category right now. That brings me to the architectural perspective. And it's really interesting to notice, especially during the last month, the interest for new developments and new projects is really immense. We are really full of projects here and constantly beginning new ones. The developers, I compare this sometimes to a sleep, and they are waking up. It's really confusing. I cannot explain this other than they were put on hold. There was never a deadline to stop the pandemic, and they just want to invest. And this is most likely seen in the residential market. So it's really affected the way that we design. The design that we are actually presenting right now is something I call the COVID-friendly design. So like some of you mentioned, people are looking for big gardens, big terraces, big balconies to have this social distancing, to have some place to work and to isolate. This is the way we design house settlements right now and multifamily housing. So people are looking for larger areas, and it's really good to see that. Not only because building would be or the area would be less populated, but I think here in Poland the developers went a little too far before the COVID, and space was packed with people. So it's good from the sustainability perspective, so to say. We have several ongoing projects right now, and like I said, constantly getting a new requests, a new analysis, and it's really like pulling the plug from the swimming pool. Like it was really put on hold, it was hibernated, and now it springs up. And professionals say that the real estate market here in Poland would be back to the way it was before the COVID in like 1.5 years. And I personally think it would be sooner, and let's hope it would be that in terms of all of you. So that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this overview, because it is particular for us. It's not, we are quite used to speak of Italy, France, and Spain, UK, but your country, like Croatia, are a little bit distant from us, and sometimes it's nice to understand what the differences are in order to work much better. Okay, as far as the next speaker is concerned, we can go on with Klaus Hagenhoff, and quindi grazie per il tuo intervento, poiché la Polonia, come la Croazia, in alcuni casi sono ambienti, sono paesi che non sono così vicino a noi, a volte hanno delle differenze che sono magari anche sostanziali, ma magari non arrivano così direttamente a noi. Quindi grazie di aver partecipato a questo confronto nella giornata di oggi. Il prossimo speaker è Klaus Hagenhoff, che ci parlerà invece del real estate in Germania. Klaus ha una serie di slide, so I will share your slides, Klaus. I just find them for you, and I share the screen. Okay. Wonderful. Can you confirm it is your slides and everything is visible? Wonderful.
Grazie mille, Manuela. Many thanks for inviting me here and to give you a little bit views on the German market as I see it. A few sentences about myself. My name is Klaus Hagenhoff. We have set up the company Carpe Diem as a project development and project management company for real estate, for building construction of buildings like hotels, like offices, like residential houses. And we also work in infrastructural development, especially in sewage water treatment and also waste to energy. This we do also in foreign countries. Okay, I would like to go to the next slide, and I have separated or divided my presentation in 3 chapters. First of all, I would like to give you figures about the situation before COVID, then within COVID times, and then third, the prospects after the COVID, or let's say, what are expectations for the next 10 years. Okay, so we have in Germany 19.2 million residential houses. We have dwellings in residential buildings of 42.5 million. The annual demand for housing is 350,000. And we have building permits of 360,600 per year. And we have completed dwellings of only 293,000. So in total, we have an authorized dwellings which are not yet completed of more than 700,000. That shows we have still something to do in the market. Next slide, please. So what was the investments in Germany in the first 3 quarters per annum in the last 9-10 years? You can see that we have developed the market from below 15,000, let's say 15 billion, to nowadays nearly 45 billion in the first quarters per this year. And you see here the differentiation between single deals and portfolio deals. Next slide, please. And we have a real estate investment in so-called A locations in these first 3 quarters especially in countries, in cities like Berlin, Frankfurt, and Munich, that are the three most attracted city locations. And also in other cities like Düsseldorf, Hamburg, Cologne, Stuttgart, they also have quite good investments attracted in the last 10 years. And here in this slide, you see it for the last 2 years, 2018 and 2019. We can go to the next slide, please. The real investment by type in the last 2 years before COVID were especially in offices, also in retail. Logistics was also quite stable. Hotel was growing. Sorry, it was a little bit decreasing already, and others were also decreasing. Next slide, please. We have to look at the facts about the German real estate market. First of all, we have a growing need of flats, especially in cities and in suburban. We have a strong growth in so-called one-person households. We have a demand for housing which is not covered or cannot be covered as of now due to a lack of building land in Germany, a lack of construction workers and construction companies. We have cheap mortgage interest rates by the European Central Bank, which will remain. And because of this demand in big cities, we have a strong price increase there. And we have a slightly decreasing prices in the countryside before the pandemic. So the price increase in rents will slightly decrease, we think. And because, for example, in Berlin, we have a price dumping for rents. That is a law in Berlin. That means the growth of rents is stopped there. So that also is a very big, let's say, a big influence from the government to the housing residential market. And we have also an increase of land transfer tax, notary fees, and the fee for land register entry. Next slide, please. And we can describe three important trends in the German real estate market. First of all, we have a low risk of a real estate bubble. Although many people have expected that, nothing came out like a bubble so far. On the contrary, we have the development now of new city quarters in mainly the location A locations like Berlin, Frankfurt, Hamburg, Munich, and also in smaller cities like Freiburg and Potsdam. And there's a trend already which started before COVID, and that is very important to see that due to this COVID, young families with space requirements and also metropolitan residents want to acquire and own property in medium-sized and small towns more often than in the past. More and more micro and mini flats with only 20 or 40 square meters of living space are coming onto the market, and some of them are fully furnished. Next, please. So what are the COVID-19 effects on the German real estate market? I can summarize it in one figure. In January to June 2020, 41.8 billion euro were invested in the German real estate investment market. And this is 34% more than in the first 6 months of 2019. So that shows normally there is no effect. But investors were, however, more cautious due to the crisis, and some asset classes such as hotels, restaurants, retail were hit harder, but there was no slump. Next, please. Increased home office activity, which we had during the lockdown and also after, increases, of course, the demand for housing outside the metropolitan areas, which is also clear in other countries. And we have heard that. So the demand for housing also changed from a deliberate turning away from urban centers to housing with more living space and living in the countryside. And the winner of this change in the housing preferences will be medium-sized cities with populations between 20,000 to 40,000 inhabitants and with a good social infrastructure as well as the metropolitan suburbs. Next, please. So currently, and this is an information from last week, in even greater demand than before are residential, healthcare buildings, offices, interestingly, logistics, and also food-anchored retail properties and specialist retail centers. And lower demand than before is expected and also is visible now for retail because of online shopping, hotels, but we see a restart in 1 or 2 years, restaurants, and for downtown shopping streets. So to sum up, the property companies fluctuate at present in Germany between confidence and concern. Next, please. And this is now the view for the next 10 years. We will see higher and higher prices in districts and cities, like, as I said, in suburbans outside the metropolitans, but also within the big cities like Munich, for example. So you see here on the right side, the prices per square meter in 2019. It was, for example, 6,000 per square meter average in Munich. And this will further on increase by, in Munich, for example, 2% per year. Next, please. In German cities, we have price increases also, let's say, for between 1.7 and nearly 1% per year in the next 10 years. And here you see also average prices for the various cities. So you see it is not yet the end of that story that these prices have reached an ultimate higher level. So the purchase price factor in Berlin, Frankfurt, Munich is at present 40, which means that the purchase price, which corresponds to 40 annual rents, or which means a yield of 2.5%. Next, please. So here you have two pictures. One is how much living space you get for 264,000 euros. It is from 35 square meters. Here you see on the left side the brown colors in the areas, up to 309 square meters, which are in the blue territory, especially in the eastern part of Germany. And on the other side, you see also the price, the real price changes in the various cities. So that means in the eastern part of Germany, it will be a price decrease possible, whereas in the western and southern parts and northwestern parts of Germany, we will see a further price increase. And the last slide. So the forecast of housing demand for the rented flats, we will have high additional demand in large urban growth centers. And we have the demand for the owner-occupied housing, especially in the west of Germany and also in the southern parts of Germany. So to sum up, we have seen certain similarities between Germany and also the other markets and the presentations of Italy and of Spain and UK and Poland. And we have definitely some differences which are, as I described, depending on the lack of construction land and workers. So that means we have really a little bit different situation on the basic elements in the market. So that's me. Thank you very much. And thanks again, Manuela, for this interesting forum.
Thank you. Thank you for having been able to stay with us today and to speak and to present your country to us today. Grazie di essere stato qui con noi oggi e grazie di aver potuto dare un quadro anche di quello che è diciamo il mondo tedesco e la Germania vista dagli occhi di un professionista appunto del settore immobiliare. Grazie mille. Thank you very much, and we go on with our meeting. I really want to finish punctual because I hate going late, so I'm happy to say that Mr. Luca Portinaro was able to join us. So we make a quick jump to Italy again, just to complete the picture with them. Sono felice di informare che il collega Luca Portinaro è riuscito a entrare nella conference e quindi chiudiamo il quadro che avevamo iniziato con il mercato italiano, dandogli la parola e facendogli diciamo completare un'immagine un pochino tecnica che ci aveva preparato. Luca, buongiorno e benvenuto tra noi.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno
Io
a tutti.
adesso ti condivido la slide subito, così siamo in grado. Ok, perfetto. Eccoci qua. La vedi, giusto? Sì?
Sì.
Perfetto.
Ok, benissimo. Allora, grazie a tutti, scusate il disagio del ritardo. Andiamo subito all'indice, alla prossima slide. Di che cosa vi parlerò oggi? Vi parlerò di una carrellata sul mercato immobiliare italiano e quello della nostra regione del Piemonte nel primo semestre del 2020, di come è cambiato il mercato immobiliare in Italia post-Covid e dove investire nel real estate italiano. Entriamo nella slide successiva con i dati delle compravendite nei primi 2 trimestri del 2020. Come potete vedere, il secondo trimestre del 2020 rispetto al secondo trimestre del 2019 ha subito una flessione del 27%, con una flessione di all'incirca il 15% nel primo trimestre, e sta segnando quello che è l'andamento della curva verso il ribasso nel settore delle compravendite. Il numero delle transazioni suddivise nella tabella in base alla classe e alla superficie per area territoriale ci danno anche un'indicazione che vedremo nel dettaglio più avanti, dove si comincia a evidenziare una richiesta per delle tipologie immobiliari con una dimensione più grande. Quindi si sta già cercando, appena finita il periodo di lockdown, una superficie più ampia per rispondere alle nuove esigenze del mercato immobiliare italiano. Andiamo avanti. stesso tipo di andamento per quello che riguardano i volumi delle compravendite per il settore terziario e commerciale, quindi uffici e locali commerciali. Abbiamo nel primo trimestre una diminuzione del 16% del numero delle compravendite e nel secondo trimestre del 2020 un meno 32% delle compravendite. Sicuramente insieme al settore industriale, che vedete l'andamento nella tabella successiva, il settore più penalizzato dal periodo di lockdown. Ovviamente l'andamento sarà ancora in negativo, in quanto il settore terziario commerciale dovrà verificare quello che sono le nuove esigenze del mercato. Stesso andamento per i capannoni e le industrie, dove abbiamo delle perdite significative. Possiamo andare avanti. Un focus brevissimo sulla situazione dei prezzi, gli ultimi dati ufficiali per quel che riguarda la nostra regione, la regione del Piemonte, dove abbiamo un'indicazione media sul residenziale per quel che riguarda sia le principali città capoluogo della regione Piemonte e sia quello che rimane il resto della provincia. Per quel che riguarda il mercato, i prezzi medi dei capoluoghi, abbiamo una stabilità che possiamo notare anche nella curva del grafico in verde, in blu, pardon, mentre la situazione della provincia era già in discesa nel 2019. Per cui tutto fa presupporre che dopo alcuni anni, dal 2017 in avanti, di stabilità, abbiamo già sensazione che nel 2020 ci sarà una inesorabile decrescita dei prezzi immobiliari. Dopodiché possiamo andare avanti. Abbiamo analizzato quello che possono essere le richieste del mercato immobiliare italiano post-Covid. Il mercato chiede più spazi all'aperto e case con spazi con giardino, case con terrazzi, cortili, e per questo chi ha la possibilità sta cercando delle soluzioni indipendenti e semi-indipendenti fuori dalle città, quindi nella cintura della grandi città, dove i prezzi sono più contenuti e dove a parità di prezzo rispetto alle città capoluogo si riescono a comprare delle abitazioni decisamente più ampie e soprattutto con del terreno. Per chi invece richiede degli spazi, richiede degli appartamenti in città, chiede una stanza in più, chiede una superficie più ampia, come ha già evidenziato nel report iniziale, oppure chi sta sviluppando nuovi progetti, i condomini devono essere ripensati con degli spazi condivisi per pochi, ma con la possibilità di offrire dei servizi di alto livello. Il comparto commerciale e il comparto terziario subiranno certamente delle modificazioni dovute all'e-commerce e al ripensamento del lavoro tramite smart working, che letteralmente è esploso in questo periodo in Italia. A questo punto, dove è consigliato investire in Italia? Allora, come prima possibilità, noi consigliamo, come sempre, di puntare su degli immobili di lusso. Ne abbiamo di moltissimi a disposizione. E compiere un restauro conservativo, mantenere quello che sono le caratteristiche dell'immobile, ma renderlo all'interno moderno e apprezzato dal mercato. Il secondo consiglio che possiamo dare è un'ibridazione, un ibrido del turismo. E quindi valutare delle soluzioni appunto ibride, ad esempio a metà tra un condominio e un hotel, oppure l'esempio decisamente vincente dello student hotel, oppure ancora il co-working. C'è ancora spazio per questo tipo di scelta, e in futuro sicuramente sarà interessante queste soluzioni ibride. In terza posizione sicuramente il student housing. Siamo carenti in Italia per quel che riguarda delle residenze per studenti, pertanto il student housing è sicuramente una delle più alte soluzioni di investimento italiano. Come quarta e ultima consiglio che possiamo dare certamente il periodo è quello ci ha toccato da vicino, è quello inerente alle residenze per anziani, il senior housing. Siamo carenti rispetto a le nostre ad altre paesi in Europa come numero di posti letto, e questo tipo di investimento in Italia è sicuramente quello a più alta crescita e da più alta richiesta. Io ho concluso e ricevo la parola a Manuela. Grazie mille.
Grazie mille a te, thank you very much for your intervention. Grazie mille di aver fatto questo intervento con dei dati che comunque erano particolarmente concreti. So thank you for using this, for sharing these data with us. Important data to analyze, and just to be clear with the rest of the world, Piedmont is the northwest area of Italy, near Turin, before Milan. Just to give you an idea, some of us has some issue just to identify the position of Piedmont. So thank you very much. Ho identificato solamente la posizione del Piemonte rispetto all'Italia perché, come noi a volte abbiamo l'idea del paese, poi abbiamo difficoltà a identificare, a posizionare invece una regione nello specifico. Benissimo, siamo quasi arrivati in fondo. Ho una pagina di intervento che mi è stata inviata dal notaio Carla Vilà, che è stato ha avuto una conferma di positività al Covid 24 ore fa, per cui è stato felice di condividere con noi il suo intervento, non potendolo fare personalmente. So I will be very happy to share with you the speech prepared by Notary Avila, who was confirmed to be positive to COVID only 24 hours ago, and he was not able to be with us today. Of course, we are all with him in this particular moment. Paola will translate me into English. I will read the speech in Italian. Io leggerò in italiano e Paola tradurrà l'inglese per me. Il notaio Avila, con studio notarile a Saint-Gervais-les-Bains in Haute-Savoie, è socio di una struttura con 4 notai e 4 uffici, di cui uno nel 3° arrondissement a Parigi. Il notaio scrive: la nostra attività si divide tra diritto immobiliare, diritto di famiglia e diritto commerciale. A livello di mercato immobiliare, da molti anni in Francia è molto dinamico ed è stato sostenuto nel tempo da tassi di interesse molto bassi. Attualmente lo 0,85% annuo su un periodo di 10 anni, dell'1% annuo su un periodo di 15 anni, dell'1,20 su un periodo di 20 anni. Il prezzo degli immobili era in crescita permanente da 10 anni circa, tra lo 0,4 e l'1,4% l'anno in media nazionale. Dal Covid e il lockdown subito da tutti, il mercato immobiliare ha avuto un'evoluzione inattesa. In effetti abbiamo constatato quanto segue. Per la residenza principale, quindi prima casa, non vi sono ancora statistiche ufficiali, ma abbiamo notato un incremento di oltre il 10% rispetto all'anno scorso nello stesso periodo. Questo si spiega in particolare per il fatto che i nostri clienti sono ancora segnati dal periodo di lockdown vissuto in ambienti a volte troppo esigui, per cui oggi ricercano soprattutto immobili con superfici esterne disponibili, giardini, terrazzi, balconi grandi. Così in realtà gli appartamenti parigini vedono i prezzi stagnare, mentre le case e gli chalet meno numerosi sul mercato vedono il loro prezzo aumentare in modo significativo. Il classico immobiliare delle seconde case. Allo stesso modo, le seconde case classiche, cioè quelle che per noi risultano essere essenzialmente le abitazioni in montagna, aggiungerei o al mare, vedono prezzi aumentare leggermente e qui notiamo un'insufficienza di beni disponibili per la vendita. Ancora una volta la spiegazione è puramente psicologica, un po' irrazionale, poiché si attiene unicamente al fatto che le persone che abitano nei grandi agglomerati desiderano essere proprietari di un bene che permetta loro di poter beneficiare di un ambiente vitale più piacevole in caso di nuovo lockdown. Immobiliare secondario di lusso. Come avrete ben compreso, le 2 categorie precedenti di immobili riguardano essenzialmente i residenti francesi. Invece, riguardo l'immobiliare di tipo secondario o di lusso, per cui la clientela francese è più scarsa, gli investimenti stranieri hanno fortemente rallentato la spinta e si constata una diminuzione significativa dei prezzi, in particolare nelle zone di montagna. Mi riferisco qui a beni immobili, appartamenti o chalet, situati nel nostro settore di attività e abitualmente su zone tipo Chamonix-Mont-Blanc, Argentière, Megève, Combloux, Saint-Gervais. Per esempio, attualmente stiamo operando su un progetto di appartamenti di lusso a Combloux, zona sciistica di Megève, per il quale il venditore prevede di ridurre il prezzo di vendita di ciascuno degli appartamenti da 1.100.000 a 900.000 euro, oppure un progetto ad Argentière, zona sciistica di Chamonix, in cui gli appartamenti saranno venduti a circa 1 milione, mentre in un progetto perfettamente uguale realizzato l'anno scorso i prezzi erano oscillati tra 1.250.000 e 1.300.000. Si può ben comprendere come le opportunità da cogliere in questo periodo post-Covid sul mercato immobiliare francese si situino, a mio parere, nel segmento alto del mercato, che rispetto ai prezzi praticati è meno accessibile per gli investitori francesi. In realtà, a mio avviso, non vi è dubbio che questo abbassamento dei prezzi e questa contrazione del mercato dei beni di lusso non è che passeggera. Di qui si può dire che se Parigi è e resterà un valore rifugio in termini di posizionamento immobiliare, la resa e la plusvalenza si realizzeranno sull'immobiliare secondario di lusso. L'altra evoluzione importante legata al Covid riguarda gli strumenti numerici ai quali abbiamo accesso normalmente, al fine di permetterci di continuare a firmare atti nonostante il lockdown. Il Consiglio Superiore Notarile ha accordato la piattaforma DocuSign al fine di permetterci di certificare la firma a distanza dei nostri clienti, soprattutto le procure. Stiamo inoltre lavorando alla creazione di un sistema di comparizione a distanza che ci permetta, soprattutto per i clienti stranieri, di leggere gli atti in videoconferenza e ricevere la loro firma mediante un processo di identificazione numerico sicuro. And in this particular case, I suggest that Italian notary system, the notarial notary system, will discuss with the French notary system, because we are far historically far away from this in Italy. E io su questo consiglio veramente che l'istituto notarile italiano parli con l'istituto francese, perché noi siamo anni luce distanti da questa realtà. I have to ask Saskia to speak now quickly, because I know she has another meeting, and so I will be happy to introduce now Saskia Johnson, who explains how to buy from the world into the world, and she will do much better than I can do. This is another way to see the real estate market, but we absolutely need it. È un modo diverso di vedere il mercato immobiliare, quello di comprare nel mondo, dal mondo. Saskia ci spiegherà come poterlo fare. Sono felice di passarle la parola, so che ha un altro impegno, quindi assolutamente le passo la parola. Thank you, Saskia.
Thank you very much, Manuela.
I share you the slides immediately.
I think it's all right, actually. I think I'll just speak. I'm conscious of time, so
Okay.
I'll just talk through. But I'm Saskia, so I'm based in London, and I'm a foreign exchange expert. So we assist businesses and individuals transfer their funds internationally much more cost effectively than traditional methods like the bank. I myself have been in the industry for just over 10 years and really add a substantial value to clients' bottom lines through more cost-effective exchange rates, but also through a range of hedging tools. Us as a business, we've been around for 22 years, and we've got offices all around the world. So in the UK, Europe, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, and the States. And I thought I'd just give you 5 key things to look out for when transferring funds internationally. So the default would always be the bank, but the banks are definitely not the most cost effective, and their service is very subpar as well. So I'd highly recommend speaking to an expert. The first question we often get asked is safety of funds. So when using an expert, please make sure they're a regulated expert. There are a lot of cowboys in the foreign exchange industry, and it's really important to actually verify their regulatory information with an independent third party like the FCA in the UK. Another important factor with foreign exchange transactions are the fees. So with a bank, you'll pay a sending fee, you'll pay a receiving fee, there may be intermediary banks involved, whereas with us, we can process transfers free of charge at wholesale exchange rates. So as a rule of thumb, is if you're getting charged for a foreign exchange transaction, then you're not getting the best deal. So that's an easy benchmark to look out for. In terms of the rates that foreign exchange providers are able to offer, there's interbank, which gets published in the news or the newspapers, and a foreign exchange provider will always try to get you as close to that rate as possible. So the rate that you see on the news, a foreign exchange provider should be getting you as close to that as possible, whereas a bank will take a much larger margin or spread off that exchange rate. So it's always very important to verify the exchange rates that you're getting with a third party, and again, you can Google and just check that anyway online. Another important criteria when selecting a foreign exchange provider is whether or not they have an online platform. Online platforms give a user visibility and peace of mind, so they can secure their exchange rates themselves online. It avoids any margin creep from a provider widening a spread or margin, and it ensures that the service is fully transparent. So I would recommend a provider that has online facilities, but that also has over the phone or email brokerage. I wouldn't recommend an online only service or a service that doesn't have any online visibility. So I think the combination of the two is a key criteria to look out for when selecting a foreign exchange partner. So you can move on to the next slide. There we go. And you can move on to the next one. The last factor that I would say is probably the most important one when selecting a foreign exchange provider, and that's, do you trust them? Again, there are a lot of cowboys in the industry, and a foreign exchange provider will always go through an onboarding compliance process with their clients, and I would recommend you do the same on the company. How long have they been around? Do they have good reviews? Do you get a good feeling when you're speaking to the consultant that you're dealing with? How is their aftercare service? So definitely make sure that you trust them completely. And then I thought I'd just show a case study in terms of, if you just go a few more down, next one, and I'll just talk about this one. So this is just an example so you can see how much savings a client could make. This is about a client called Janet. She transferred £500,000 and she was moving to Spain. So we took a tiered approach, split her transactions up. Some was for a property purchase and some was just because she was relocating. And if you go to the next slide, Manuela. And over the period of 12 months, we did all of her transactions and we saved her €23,310 on her £500,000. So that was like for like savings using a better service at a lesser price because the banks are so expensive. Then I thought I'd just end off with a rate comparison. So just to give you an idea of the general savings, this is based on 2 banks and another provider transferring £25,000 to euros. And the minimum savings using our service compared to others was €380. And that savings just gets more and more the more a client transacts. So if you have clients purchasing property from other jurisdictions, that's a great place that we can add value and make sure that they're getting the most amount of foreign currency possible. So that's me, Saskia Tsebo, and those are my details if anyone needs them.
Absolutely, thank you very much. And I will share your slides if you authorize. And I will share absolutely also the recording of the conference of today. So this will be extremely helpful and extremely useful in order to do the necessary deals and the necessary transactions that will occur in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Manuela.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. And we are now going to the last speaker of today. So in the end, we were the few minutes late that we missed during the beginning of our conference because of some connection problems. So Deborah, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Sì, perfettamente. Allora traduco solamente per il resto delle persone. Siamo arrivati alla fine del nostro pomeriggio insieme. Saskia ci ha lasciato perché ha un'altra conference, è stata velocissima. Deborah Malonni, specializzata e expert in relocation da ormai una trentina d'anni. So Deborah Maloney, expert in relocation services since 1990, so almost 30 years now. The floor is yours. I can share your slides and let me see if I'm able to do it for the last time. Tu vedi le slide oppure no?
Fino adesso sì, adesso
Perfetto.
le mie, adesso no.
Le vedi
tu?
Le tue?
Ok, sì, le vedo.
Molto bene. So she is viewing our her slides. We can leave the floor to her, and then we can conclude our today's meeting. Prego. Deborah?
Thank you, Manuela. And yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm here. Manuela?
Sì.
Okay. Thank you, Manuela. And I'm very happy to speak to the conference. My name is Deborah Malonni, and I am a relocation specialist since 1990. And I am part of IMI group. IMI was born by the experience of independent workers who have been working in the mobility of employee since a long time. So as we have the strength of the team is related to the experience that all the consultants have during all the period of the business. So moving people, it means relocation business. What is exactly relocation? Relocation includes all the services related to the moving of employee from one country to another. And it includes the house of goods moving, home search, orientation, school search, immigration, local registration, tax and contribution experts. So today we are more focusing on home search, on the housing service. So I now would like to introduce how we do the home search and how the search has changed during this period of COVID. So moving people is always a challenge, and because every country is different and every citizen is different. So the first aspect that we underline with the assignee is to set up the expectations. So we will do calls, we speak with the employee, try to understand what are the needs of employee and the family, and what Italy can offer to to his needs. Because in some case, employee is expecting something that probably in a small city he cannot find. So the first most important aspect is the setup of expectation related to clients' needs. So when the expectations are set, we start the search, and of course the search and the needs of clients have changed during this COVID period. The expectations are different. If before COVID, employees were more focused, for example, to find a suitable accommodation in the center of the city or close to the school if they have a family or kids. Right now, they are more focused on to have an external space. So the terrace, the balcony, the garden is becoming more and more important, as also other colleagues of the real estate have mentioned during this conference. So the focus is no more to be inside the city, to enjoy the city, but to have an external space where they can stay in case of another closing of activities. Then another aspect of the real estate market in this period is the availability of the market related to the rental apartments. Many apartments that were rented for a tourist period, for short time of period, are now in the market of the long-term rent. Of course, because tourist people are less, many people cannot come in Italy for a short period of time, and so the owner have decided to focus the rent on a long-term rent. This is related to the expectation of client to the real estate market, but also our delivery model of service have changed, because usually we meet client, we go together with client to visit the apartments, but during the summer or in this time, many citizens are not allowed to come in Italy even for looking for searching the apartments, and so we are going to see the apartment, to visit the apartment without their presence. And so we set the appointments, we go and we usually do a phone call, a video call when we are in the apartment with client, so that he can also see the apartments through the video call. And this is very important because this change our responsibility. In many, when I go out with clients, many times clients is telling me when he see the apartment, oh, finally, I feel like I am at home. So I feel very comfortable in this apartment. And right now, he cannot feel the apartment, but we are the people that have to fill the apartment for him. So this feeling responsibility is very, very important, even because probably our recommendation, our suggestion will focus the choice of apartment of the client. Of course, for doing the home search, we use the real estate agents or the website related to the rent market. And it's very important, the support that we have from the real estate agents, because we want also the same, we are working with the same aim. We have client that needs to be satisfied, and the real estate agent satisfy the owner, and we satisfy the potential tenant. So we are really, in our job, we have really create very good relationship with the real estate agents to be able to find the properties and to satisfy the client very fast. Really, we are more focused on the rental market. Only few cases we have clients who wanted to buy a property, and at this point we always suggest to client to use a real estate agents, because the real estate agent is following him for all the aspects of the transaction. So other than the home search, we then provide all the services that are also related to the home search, to the rental contract, such as the translation of the rental contract, the assistance with the connection of telephone, the obtainment of the tax ID, the opening of the bank account, the check-in inspection of the apartment to check that everything is under control, is good. And then we also give support to client after the consignment of the apartment, in case it needs some assistance with technicians or in speaking with the owner. These are the service related more to home search. Then, of course, we provide all other services related to the moving of the employee. For example, we assist with the shipments, so with the shipment of household goods. In many cases, we have clients who also bring their furniture in Italy, so we assist them with the removals, for example, from the States to Italy, with the installation, with the customs clearance. So everything is related to the moving of furniture and personal effects. Then we assist the companies in their internationalization. It means that we can provide all the legal support, notary support, cultural support that is necessary when they move people, or also when they move companies from one country to another. And then another very important aspect is immigration. So we assist the employee and the family with all the immigration aspects, such as residencies, work authorization, permit of stay, citizenship, so health registration, everything that is needed to live and work in Italy. Essentially, also for us, this period of COVID has changed a lot, because of course we have less clients that are moving into Italy or outside Italy. At the moment, what we have noticed that the companies, the multinational companies, are still waiting a little bit before to send people abroad. So they only confirm the assignment if it's really necessary. There are companies that until January, they are not doing any movement internally, and other companies instead that have already started to move some people, but of course also the relocation business has really a big impact in this period. So
thank you. Sorry?
No, okay.
I stopped,
Thank
I
you.
stopped you, sorry. I didn't want to.
No. Only wanted to say thank you for having invited me in this conference.
Ok, thank you very much, Deborah. Grazie molte, Deborah. I know you were driving from the east to the west of Italy, so it was a hard job for you to be with us today, but you followed all the conference, so thank you very much. Grazie tantissimo. So che stavi viaggiando dall'est all'ovest dell'Italia e comunque non hai voluto perdere la nostra conferenza, quindi grazie di aver avuto comunque questa attenzione particolare e grazie di aver fatto parte di questa giornata con noi.
Grazie a voi.
I think we have completed our tour today. It's a little bit late. I wanted to ask our president, who had just some problems of connection at the beginning. If you want to close with just 2 words, it will be very helpful for everybody. And then we have to absolutely to close because we are over time and I don't like it. Andrea Franchetto, chiederei solo a te di chiudere con 2 parole alla fine di questa conferenza, soprattutto per il fatto che all'inizio avevi qualche problema di connessione. Se sono 2 parole, ti potrei tradurre anche io, così la nostra povera Paola si riposa un attimo. Tra l'altro la pregherei di comparire perché oggi è stata veramente una lunga fatica per lei.
Grazie Paola, grazie di cuore.
Thank you Paola, thank you very much. Ti prego di pure tu la conclusione, così salutiamo tutti.
Ma allora, io spero di interpretare correttamente tutto ciò che i relatori hanno esposto, che devo dire è stato veramente interessante.
I hope I can interpret everything that the different panelists could tell today. I confirm it was extremely interesting for us.
Ognuno rappresenta lo spaccato della propria realtà nazionale o territoriale e devo dire che ci sono esperienze molto diverse in questo momento.
Everyone is representing his own country, but of course he has his own feelings, and there are very different situations that appear today.
Se posso dare un'interpretazione, chiedo a tutti di rettificare se non è corretto quello che interpreto.
If I can do an interpretation, and I please ask you to correct me if I'm wrong.
Mi sembra che in generale il mercato del residenziale abbia una forte spinta verso abitazioni più confortevoli.
In general, I understand that the market is requiring more comfortable residential housing.
Ogni famiglia, ogni persona esprime questo bisogno in maniera diversa, alla ricerca di un giardino, di maggior quiete o di maggior spazio abitativo, ma la tendenza mi sembra ben evidente.
Everybody is asking for a garden, a terrace, or some place to live in a quiet area, but the tendency, the trend seems always in the same directions for everybody.
Nell'andamento dei prezzi, sempre parlando di residenziale,
always considering the residential aspect as far as prices are concerned,
mi sembra di poter rilevare che ci sia una notevole frattura tra il sud dell'Europa e la parte nord e la parte orientale dell'Europa.
I understand there is a big gap between the northern part and the south part of Europe. And prego.
con i mercati appunto orientali e nordici, che hanno comunque anche una spinta alla crescita dei prezzi, dei valori assoluti.
With the east markets and the northern market going towards an increase in prices.
E il sud dell'Europa che invece soffre anche nella valorizzazione dei immobili.
And the south of Europe that suffers also in a kind of estimation of the prices in general.
Diverso il discorso del terziario e dell'industriale.
The industrial and the commercial sectors are a little bit different.
Che mi sembra rispecchi l'andamento delle rispettive economie.
And they respect and they reflect the respective economies.
Sicuramente la spinta al lavoro remoto sta mettendo in crisi comunque i mercati più importanti del terziario, degli uffici, le grandi città metropolitane.
Certainly the remote work and the smart working is creating a kind of a suffering to the big towns.
I grandi blocchi di uffici a Milano, come a Parigi, come a Londra, sembrano destinati ad avere un mercato non favorevole nei prossimi anni.
Big structures of offices in Paris, in Milan, and the big cities seems to try to face a kind of a negative situation that will last for a certain period.
Mentre un altro filone condiviso, comune un po' in tutte le nazioni, mi sembra quello della logistica.
While logistics seems extremely common for every kind of country.
Mi sembra che attraggano invece l'attenzione degli investitori e delle aziende un po' ovunque.
And investors are attracted a little bit everywhere.
Questo per riassumere in maniera molto breve tutto quello che ho sentito dai vari relatori. Se qualcuno però ha delle osservazioni, sono molto gradite.
If anyone wants to add any additional observation or remarks, they will be extremely welcomed. And I just add myself that the documents we have shared today will be absolutely shared among all the people that were present. And if you agree, this is just a start to work together and try to focus on something particular to develop in the next future. Dicevo che per quanto riguarda un ultimo aspetto che aggiungevo io è semplicemente che tutta la documentazione raccolta oggi sarà condivisa in modo che il lavoro possa essere un lavoro condiviso che funga da step iniziale per una collaborazione futura che sicuramente andrà avanti. Grazie mille al presidente del Real Estate in Italia. Saluto a questo punto tutti coloro che hanno presenziato e ringrazio assolutamente tutti i participants che hanno avuto la pazienza di essere con noi fino ad ora. Grazie Paola di esserti palesata, ti vedo e ti voglio tanto bene. Thank you everybody. Thank you for all the panelists and all the attendees. Thank you Paola for being so kind with us today and for this hard work you managed with us during this afternoon. Thank you everybody. This work will go on all together and we will share all the studies and the analysis we made today for bigger deals to share among and between all of us. Thank you. Thank you very much and bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye and thank you, Paola.
Bye-bye.
Very much. It was a great meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.